Hey, well, wonderful. Thanks everyone for coming. I'm definitely excited to be here. Last time we did this, there's a lot of great questions. So please, if you have questions, let's anything you've got, just put it on the Zoom chat, and Chirag and I will try to try to get this. I've got a short presentation, and so what we'll do is, today we're going to talk about the college application and, how the standardized testing fits into that. And we're going to focus a lot on the US just because the US has kind of the most complicated one. Um, so I'm Nick and I run SI, and this is a counseling agency, and we specialize in kind of end-to-end profile building and very specialized application support. There I am. Went to Harvard, graduated in 2006. I taught at a school, wrote a textbook, and then I started SI. And here's Chirag, graduates from Georgia Tech in 2009. He began as a tutor. He has worked with thousands of students. He has hundreds of tutors, and is an excellent problem solver. Anything, anything tricky, any complex test, anything like that. I mean, Chirag's got someone. And so, wait, 45% getting SAT score. That's awesome. Wow, 1500. Oh my God. And that's, of course, like pretty much the benchmark for the elite unis. Now, just a quick look, okay, about what is the impact of counseling, because it can be very hard to quantify, it can be very hard to understand. The average acceptance rate for an international student at what I call a tier one uni, it's like the top 15, is about 5%. For my students, assuming they have a certain academic minimum benchmark, which is like not as high as people think, it's about 90%. And so um, our students, there's three stats we're very proud of. The middle one is that um, about 70% of our students, got into their primary placement. Their best placement could be an Ivy League, could be USC, with a below average SAT score. Okay, so like, I think it's awesome if you have like a 1560, 1570. You don't really need it. You kind of need a 1500 though. And every single one of our students who applied to a top 50 ranked uni last year got in 100%. Now, and so just another, and one more quickie is that this is a set of unis, guys, that we think of as this term, the global select. Okay. And it basically has it's very, very selective unis, and there's many more that are amazing, but you could say these are an interesting representative sample. Average SAT score is 1530. Our average student was admitted with a 1430. And so, or 1500 and 1430. So it's about 70 points, I think, is what really good counseling can do. Now, but what is an application to the US? Actually, what is it? It's a set of information. And it's made of three pieces of information, guys. School grades, which is your academics from ninth until 12th, typically reported on a semester basis. Not always, but typically. The SAT, which is a standardized test of math and English, and it seeks to assess your college readiness, and then the profile. Okay. And the profile is a set of extracurricular activities which showcases certain attributes. This is, of course, where I come in. This is the bit that people don't really agree on. Everyone knows the SAT is important. Everyone knows the school's grades are important. Uh, but the most confusion is, okay, well, what is a profile? And some people wonder, I guess I always tell people, like, people ask, like, is this complicated? And the answer is, like, yes, it is complicated to do your profile well. But kind of like anything that's complicated, like a tax return or a legal filing, um, that's good. Like, the more complicated the application, okay, the more chances to get it right, okay, and the more chances for others to get it wrong. So the UK, for instance, has a very simple application. They look at your 12th grade predicteds. They look at like your admissions test, if you take TMUA or ESAT or something. They look at the personal statement like a tiny bit, like this much. They look at grades like this much. It's not complicated. So if you have the grades and you have the ESAT, you'll probably get in. And if you don't have both those things, you definitely won't get in. And the US isn't quite like that. Now, so what do we do? It's Careful multi-year programming. It's one-to-one mentoring, and we help our students accrue a record of academic engagement via social service, internships, online courses, school engagement, of course, social projects, which then we help them with the application essays too. So we basically help you with your profile. Think of it that the profile is like ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. It's almost giving you content to talk about in your essays. The essays are like the final year. It's kind of the essays are kind of a big deal. Now, and then this is possible. Okay, this is just another way of looking at the results. These are our matriculations. These are all of them, by the way. And so we formatted this. Sometimes schools report their placements in this way. And yeah, this is like where the kids have gone. And if you add up all these kids, it'll be the total number of students that we've had in the past 5 years. Now, so basically, what are these activities? Profile building is made of 7 types of activities, and that's it. Okay. Summer schools, research papers. There are some questions about those. We're going to get to that. Social projects, school engagement. It's like school clubs and leadership. Academic enrichment, non-academic enrichment. This is like sports and stuff. These are like Olympiads, internships. That's it. There's no other type of activity that can go in a profile. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about each of these bits. Okay. And then you're going to shoot us your questions. The good ones, the hard ones, the obvious ones, anything. So a summer school, this is kind of the way we think of it. It's got to be subject specific. It can be in person. It can be online. It can be credit bearing. It can be pre-college. It can be graded or not graded. Okay. A lot of people think that like online programs are somehow not as valuable. Actually, I believe we've discovered that the online programs are more valuable for admissions. Now, research projects, what are they? Again, it's a subject-specific investigation of a specific question, applying a certain kind of method into a certain kind of structure. A research project is a very standard structure, okay? We'll talk about that in a sec. Social projects, these are issue-driven kinds of social service leadership, issue-driven, keyword issue-driven, okay? You can't just do a generic social project. It's got to relate to some key issue. Ideally, that issue is something that connects up with your primary subject, whatever you're applying for. So we get to use the social project as a way to frame your specific academic interest. School engagement means joining, leading, or starting clubs. We'll talk about that. Academic enrichment. This is like participating in and maybe even winning, like local, national, or even international subjects competitions, like Olympiads, Math Olympiad, John Locke essay competition, heaps and heaps. Non-academic enrichment, this is actually kind of interesting. I was thinking of analyzing all my past students, Chirag, to see who has like good sports or like good music, and trying to think, what does that really mean? And then does that have any clear effect on admissions? And like my strong suspicion is that the kids getting into good unis, they will probably have probably on average 1 to 1.5, like good like piano or like badminton or something, just because that tends to be what the busy and successful students do. They're doing activities because they're motivated, you know? And then internships, these are kind of the least important, but we'll talk about that. Now, can we redefine a profile? Yeah. It's a curated and special mix of activities that's relevant to a subject. It's got to be relevant to a subject. Could be mechanical engineering, could be economics, could be psychology, okay? Probably even a specialization within that subject. And it typically includes summer schools, and it typically includes research projects, social service projects, academic and non-academic enrichment, internships, and even school engagement. Okay, and that's it. That's what a profile is, guys. All right. Now, so what are these activities actually? Okay. Now, guys, summer school, I'm sure you,
Ngikutin apa yang diinin dari rektor.
ah,
Okay. No.
okay. Summer school, I'm sure you guys have heard of them. Look, it's any program, the way I define it, it's any program that refers to an organized educational experience in touch with a uni or college. Okay. Of course, it happens in the summer. There are 3 types. There's pre-college, This is for the younger students. I'm sure people have heard of Summer at Brown. Northwestern CTD is a little better. Johns Hopkins is a little better. These are a little bit more selective. Credit bearing, again, these are some of the main ones. It's about 200 credit bearing programs. This is like doing a college course at a uni, like with a uni, like with the college students at that uni. It's pretty prestigious. And then the highest class are these things called selective specialty programs. There's about 10 to 12 of these in the world. These are hardcore. Okay, these are like if you get into these, you really look like a genius, and they're almost exclusively related to math. So, and some of them require tests. And I don't know, Chirag, do you guys ever do like the sumac entry test preparation?
Just a couple of kids, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
pretty,
it's hard.
I've heard it's I've heard it's hard. Like it's hard to prepare for. Like,
It's
yeah,
open-ended and it's hard, the sumac.
you're given like what, like seven or six, seven problems, you're given a few months, and it's like, how
It's
are we
open-ended.
gonna?
It's completely open.
Yeah. So they want to see how you think about those
Yeah.
questions, Now, how do you select your summer school? Look, keep it very simple. First is the cost. Set a budget. Some of these can be 10 lakh. No, not 10 lakh. Some of those could be 7 lakh. Some of them could be like 50,000. Okay. So I mean, first is the cost, then is the mode. If you want to do it in person versus online. I would definitely do it online if it was me because it's cheaper and it's basically equally valuable. In person's more fun though. You get the exposure. The dates, it's got to be in your summer. Okay, the Indian summers do not exactly match up with American summers. American summer has just ended. The Indian summer, you guys have been back in school probably for like 6 to 8 weeks at this stage. The duration, some of these programs are like 7 weeks. Okay, that's not good usually. And then any specific eligibility criteria. So look, what I would do, the way we recommend these is first, we recommend programs that fit our students' preferences. If you can't spend 5 lakh, then don't do a program that costs 5 lakh. Okay. It's of the correct intensity. It's the three types we discussed at the beginning. If you're rising 11th grader, you need to do the credit bearing option. You need to. And then it aligns with your major. It has to align with your major. There's many ways to find that fit. If you're applying for mechanical engineering, doing a summer program in math, perfect. Doing a summer program in physics, perfect. Even doing a summer program in like architecture, could be. There's a little bit of fit there. Doing something in like economics obviously doesn't quite fit. Now, research projects. Okay, what the heck are these? Now, these are long form written explorations of a specific issue, a specific problem. There's no such thing as a general research project. It has to be about a specific problem. It uses academic methods. That's kind of the hard part. That's usually what you go to college to learn. And then you have some kind of product at the end. You have it like a 10 pager. There's two types. There's independent and there's mentored. Independent means you do it. Mentored means your mentor kind of advises you on what to do and usually probably helps you with some of the harder parts. Now, a research paper has the following bits. They always have the following bits. So it always has an introduction, and that's where you like lay out your problem statement. It's usually about 1 page. Okay. The literature review. This is where you have to show that you've looked at some of the existing papers that talk about that problem. Okay. And you're sort of bringing up and saying, well, why these aren't exactly the correct answer, how they haven't fully investigated the problem, things like that. So you're kind of fault finding. Usually you'd have like 5 to 8 papers you cite. Then there's a method section. Candidly, this is the really difficult part, the methods, because there's several different kinds of methods. There's statistical methods, there's qualitative methods, there's theoretical methods. So you got to have some methods. You have to investigate some data set. So you're asking a specific question. You're saying how others haven't fully answered it. Okay. You're saying how you're going to find your answer and what you're going to be looking at. That would be your data. And most people just get open access data sources. You can collect your own data. That's called a primary research paper. That takes forever. You don't need to actually do that. You analyze that data using the methods you've outlined. Usually this is a couple of tables and charts, and you get some result, and that's like a page, and then you have some little discussion and conclusion piece. Okay? This is like a page. So we're excited. It's usually basic, guys. Think of it, it's a 10-pager, typically with these 6 sections, which has usually 2 tables and charts. I wish someone had explained this to us, when we were entering high school. I certainly had no idea about this when we were you guys' age. Now, the social project is the big one, okay? Because this tackles an issue which shows a nuanced comprehension of the impact of that issue on a specific group, okay? Think of it this way. Your profile basically is going to be about the following sentence. I want to study blank subject because I feel like this can really help me explore blank issue, okay? So the subject and the issue kind of go together or they don't go together. So, for instance, it wouldn't make sense to say, I want to study mechanical engineering because I think it can one day help me tackle the issue of child literacy. Engineering and child literacy, they don't have a connection. It's not there. Instead, you could say, I want to study engineering because I want to one day tackle the issue of renewable energy in India. Those are totally connected. So this is kind of a very special form of counseling. It can seem really complicated, but it comes down to one very simple equation. You need to have a partner organization, okay? So you need to have some NGO or some company. You do the project in partnership with them, then they can give you a good LOR. You've got to have a target group you're helping. You've got to do something with that target group. That's the engagement. And there's many different types of engagement. We've identified 14 types of engagement. There's 14 things you can do. Typically, there's an awareness raising bit with some kind of content element. There's about 32, 33 different types of content. Okay. You usually have to do a donation. Doesn't have to be money. Could be like giving away material, could be giving school supplies, could be doing whatever. You got to document it somehow. Typically a simple website, make a Google website. It's friggin' free. Okay. So it's always going to have these 6 bits. Now, and I'm actually going to explain them a little further just because this is complicated. You need to have a partner. You can't just go and like feed dogs in your colony. No one can verify that. All right. No one can give you an LOR. You've got to have a group, a specific group you're going to help. There's no such thing as a general social project. Then that's just charity. That's not a social project. Some kind of engagement. This is always going to relate to either poverty relief, environmental action, community health, or equality and rights. You're gonna have a little donation, okay? This is what you give. This is some either giving some kind of resource or removing a barrier to some kind of resource, okay? And then some kind of documentation, an accurate website with pictures, hit a couple social project awards. There's Primerica, there's the Diana Award, there's many more awards. Now, the big 3 are the summer schools, the research project, and the social projects. Why are they the big 3? They take the most time. Okay, by far, they take the most time, they take the most money. Now, the bottom few, school engagement is a really good kind of profile building tool because it's free and it's easy. You can just join a club in high school. These usually meet for like half an hour a week. You don't do very much. You can try to lead that club eventually. That's a big thing. You can try to start a club. This is the hard part. This part is really valuable because this means like changing your school for the better, like creating a new offering for all students to benefit from. The way to start a club, you got to get school permission. Okay. Typically, you got to give a pitch. You got to give them the idea, and then they're going to ask for more details. That's more of an extended proposal. The proposal stage 2. Okay. Sometimes they ask for even more information, and then you can give a detailed plan. And a detailed plan would be like a session plan, like saying that the exact things you want to cover all year. Plan out like 15, 30 sessions. It's kind of complicated. It's kind of tedious, but it's very doable. Now, academic enrichment is something we love, okay? Because this is really our bread and butter, because we think it's all about completing that single sentence. I want to study blank subject because one day I want to tackle blank issues. So that means you've got to show you're good at your subject and you've got to show you care about that issue. That's it. That's what it comes down to. And so the way you show you're good at that subject, that's where The academics come in. Okay, so look, we love these exams, these competitive exams. They're basically very low cost. You can usually take them online. Some of them are really valuable. Math Olympiads, Science Olympiads. There's AMC tests. There's the Waterloo test. There's IOQM. Science Olympiads, lots of different Indian ones. Competitions, they're a little different than exams. An exam is something that you sit. A competition is something you submit. Okay. Lots of essay competitions, lots of science research competitions. Um, there's these special category that we call enrichment programs, student enrichment programs. We just refer to those as STEP programs. These are like doing a course, doing a program, doing like a leadership program. Why not? Okay. It's kind of like a summer school, except they happen during the year and they're not affiliated with unis. And then there's just like online courses. Honestly, there's so many on Coursera, edX. They're free. They take a long time. I don't think they have that much value because most people just lie about them. But some people do them. Now, note there's basically 4 academic domains you can hit up, guys. Okay, the STEM, business eco, humanities, and the arts. So your profile is going to fall into one of these. There's no doubt. Okay. Mechanical engineering would be STEM, finance would be business eco, sociology would be humanities, like theater would be the arts. This is like 20 subjects here, 10 subjects business eco, about 40 subjects in the humanities, and about 10 in the arts. It's about 70 to 80 subjects total. This is basically what American universities offer, about 70 or 80 subjects usually. Now, this shows you're going beyond the standard curriculum. It makes a deeper and more enriching picture. You don't have to win these things, but you just have to do them. Okay. And they tie up in strange ways. So a math Olympiad can be totally helpful to boost a physics profile. An environment competition can help show a focused interest in like eco. Okay. So this is what we call the mosaic technique. That just means making a cool picture through different pieces. And it really freaking works. So the more of these opportunities you can participate in, the better. We made a website called pippms.com. It has like 500 to 600 of these things. Guys, you can join it. You can do a trial. We get a freemium version, we get a premium version. It's cheap. It's like $10 a month, literally. So check it out. We'll link it at the end. Now, non-academic enrichment, this is the second to last one. There's 2 types of this. This is kind of interesting. This is what I meant about that, does this really help? And there's level-based activities like piano, martial art, okay, foreign language. Martial art, first thing you think of with martial art, black belt, okay? Piano, first thing I think about, Trinity exams, grade 8. It's the best level, okay? You say you're grade 8 piano, boom, they know exactly how good you are. You say you're black belt taekwondo, they know exactly how good you are. That's good. It's good for the colleges to be able to pinpoint that, okay? Now, foreign language, if you say you're B2 level in Spanish, that's crazy. That's damn good, okay? Sports are also fundamentally kind of level based, okay? And then there's these other kind that we think of as being certified, okay? Just like you get some certificates, art, cooking, whatever, sewing. There's no levels. There's no, it's just, do it, get some certificates. That's it. Guys, if you're in 11th grade, you can't start karate and get the black belt. You don't have enough time. What you could do like art. You could just do some certificate courses, 1 or 2 week courses. It's easy, right? So these different tools have different kinds of value. For like an 8th grader, you've got to do the level based. You have to do level based. It's more valuable. For a 10th or 11th grader, you can't do level based. You can't start something new. You won't get to a good enough level in the time you have. Okay. Now, final thing is internships. Look, it's typically a 1 to 3 week professional exposure, and it has to include a sector. Okay. It's always going to be at a company that is attached to a sector. There's no company that isn't a part of a specific sector of the economy. Chirag and my companies were in the education sector. Okay. Then there's manufacturing sector. There's retail sector. There's so much. Okay. There's like 50 sectors. There's a department. You have to be attached to a department in a company. You can't just like generally go. What kind of departments are there? There's marketing, there's finance, there's sales, there's operations, there's a lot. Okay. Now, then you got to function, you got to do something. Okay. Usually this is having a project. So an internship has these 3 pieces. It always has 3 pieces, guys. All right. And there are certain sectors, yes, which match better with certain majors. Okay, so guys, it's all about the match with the major. Okay, the subject you're building your profile around. Doing like a social impact type internship that works so well with economics. Okay, much better than a finance internship. You'd be surprised. All right. Now, this does get complicated because there are like financial services companies, that's a sector, but those companies will have many different departments. Like a finance company would have a marketing department. Confusing, right? Okay, so I can help you guys figure that out. Now, so the profile permutations, this is kind of cool. Remember we said summer school, there's three types. Research project, there's two types. Social project, there's four components, actually five components. We'll go with four. School engagement, there's three types. Join a club, lead a club, start a club. Academic enrichment, there's four basic subjects you can engage with: STEM, business, humanities, arts. Non-academic enrichment, there's really only two types of that. Internship has three components. Multiply all these things together, that's 1,728 permutations. And there's really about 30 common intended majors, pretty much like unis have like 100 majors, 80 majors, but it's usually only over 30. So that's basically 50,000 different profiles, right? Woof. Does it work? Yeah, it works really well. Okay. So in the end, you can probably say that the perfect profile, it's detailed, it's planned, it's supported, it's documented, and mostly it's specific to you. So this is kind of our subsidiary offerings. Again, this website, pippums.com. Go check this out. Go, you can search up your interests. You can look for, you can enter your bio data. It'll only show you competitions you're eligible for. Trust me, that's a really complicated part of it. We got a reading program for our students. We got a cool tutor network. It doesn't begin to rival AP Gurus, but if you want something specialized, some psychologist, you want some guitar tutor, something like that, hit me up. Okay. Now, that's it. All right. So that's what we do. And now I want to hear your questions. I want to hear all the questions. Um, the tough ones. Anything about President Trump? Go for it. All right. So Raj, maybe you can moderate, or Samudra, maybe you can moderate, and then Chirag and I can just gonna chat
Yeah,
these
there are
through.
quite a few questions on the chat.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Now, actually, Raj, we'll just pick them up in the chat. So, guys, good job giving these. So, question: are the research papers which have been mentored versus the papers that have been made individually, are they judged and marked differently? That's a great question, man. Like for me and Chirag, well, I know that if someone had told me in high school that I could work with like a PhD student or even a junior faculty to like develop a really cool paper, I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have known what that was. And then I got to college and I realized, whoa, that's what all of the high performing kids are trying to do. That's what all of the high flyers do in uni. Maybe with engineering it's different, Chirag, but I know with like the liberal arts, it's like getting FaceTime with the professors, that's like a big thing. Was it that way at tech?
No, it's hard to get face time with
Well, it's
professors.
hard as hell. Yeah, like it's
Yeah,
like
very hard.
you're gonna like fight for it. You're gonna be
And
you're gonna
we look forward to it, to be honest.
oh, you would like the
Yeah.
professors, they're like the rock stars.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You look forward to it. If it's
Yeah,
20 minutes, 10 minutes, you look forward to it.
you look forward to it. You're fighting for that time. So look, the mentored ones, they allow someone at a pretty damn good academic level to give you a letter of recommendation. That's the main value of the mentored paper. The mentored paper will be a little bit higher quality because the mentor can help with some of the really tricky parts. They won't do it for you ideally, but they'll just like advise you and coach you. They'll give you a really good letter. And letters from academicians are valued very highly by the academic organizations. Are they judged and marked? They're not judged. I'm sorry, these papers aren't read by the unis. The unis don't have time for that. Okay. But you can say that the mentored ones probably carry a bit more weightage because you can get a good letter. All right. Now, how important is taking the e-assessments in grade 10? My kid is in oh yeah, OIS. Very rare, very weird. They don't make you take the e-assessments. The basic math of this, guys, is that the good unis will have probably about 1 lakh applicants, up to 1 lakh, okay? Anything that makes you easy to understand equals good, okay? Pretty much. So if you take the MYPE assessments, basically your performance can be boiled down to one number upon 56, okay? That's good. If the number is good, okay? Look, so take an assessment. If your kid can crack, I'd say 48 above on 56, okay? Take the e-assessments, take them all, okay? But the second rule is that showing no grade is always better than showing a low grade.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Nick, we do have an option of like, taking full
Yeah.
e-assessments and
Yeah.
only couple of subject.
Or
So
selective, yeah.
so what would be your guide? Because they have should we take only couple of subject that the kid is interested in? And how does it affect it in UK application process and US application process?
US application process, I've had students from OIS get into Ivy League who did not take the e-assessments. That's true enough, okay? But it's weird. If you don't take the 10th boards, when your school offers 10th boards, it looks weird, is my deep worry, okay? So first off, make an assessment, speak to your students' teachers, understand, can they get 48 above? If yes, stop your investigation, take the full MYP, just do it, okay? Now, if your child cannot get 48 above, then you investigate specific subjects and you need to get ideally whatever subjects they take, they're getting 6 or 7, okay? No 5. 5 is useless. So then you would say if they can't get 48 general, are there maybe a few subjects, maybe math, maybe a science where they can get 6 or 7? Then you take those, okay?
Got it.
Now, the effect on the UK, I don't think it would like kill your UK application or anything, okay? It's just generally a bit better to have it, okay? But remember, no grade is always better than low grade,
Got it.
okay? Okay,
Yeah, got it.
good. All right, cool. Now, let's see here. So AP Gurus, yes, thank you. Please just give your question. So Namrata's asking, oh, e-assessments, just did that. Thank you. Now, okay, someone says, hello, Nick. IB kids can only take 2 science. I know. That's so it's very limited. Okay. And there's basically 2 circumstances where you would need to take more than 2 sciences. Okay. One would be if you're applying for any like biotech or computational biotype subject. Usually it's just biotech, like biomedical engineering. Okay. Because for engineering, you want to take physics and chem. Like you really do need to take chem. And then, of course, but for the biomedical engineering, you would want to show some bio as well. That would be 3 sciences. Also for Indian medical, you've got to take PCB. So what do you do? Honestly, you supplement through APs. AP Guru can hook you
Okay.
up. For bioinformatics, you take HL Math, HL Comp Sci, HL Bio. Done. Take AP. I would take AP Chem as well. So guys, think of it this way. There's always subjects that go together. Okay? They go together. So bio always goes with chem. If you tell a US uni you want to study bio and you don't have chem, they're going to be like, you do realize bio has a lot of chem in it. A bio major would be at least 1/3 chem. Okay? If you want to study chemistry, weirdly, you need math. You need HO math. If you want to study physics, weirdly, you need math. If you want to study computer science, weirdly, you need math. Okay. There's about 10 to 12 subjects I've identified that are damn popular. You need math. You almost only need math. If you want to study economics and you want to get into Cambridge for economics, There's only one required subject that they say you need to take, and trust me, it's not economics. It's math. So for bioinformatics or something like comp bio, yeah, math AA, HL AA math, HL comp sci, HL bio, HL bio, and like maybe you'd have two options. You could either take HL AA math, HL bio, HL chem plus AP comp sci, or of course you could take HL math AA, HL bio, HL CS plus AP chem.
So we don't look into physics at all because she has taken like an HL bio, HL chemistry, HL math in a grade 9 and 10.
Yeah. For like bioinformatics, no,
Yeah.
that wouldn't typically be offered in the engineering stream, dear. Okay,
Okay.
so American unis, I should have a slide for this, but I don't. American unis are offered in streams. Okay, they're offered in streams. Why don't I just show you like, here, why don't I just show you like I'll show you an example of what I mean by this. Okay. Let's look at Georgia Tech. Okay, let's look at Chirag's institution. Okay. Now, okay, so Georgia Tech is offered, this is a university, this is a mega university. There's probably like 30,000 students. Now, it has a bunch of different colleges and schools. Okay, it has engineering. Think of these as different streams, man. Engineering is always going to require math, physics, chem, always. Okay, computing, it just requires math and comp sci. Probably physics will help too. Sciences, there would not be general requirements for this. Okay, this will include bio, this will include physics, this would include chem, this would probably include like 10 other different sciences. Bio and bioinformatics would be offered in this one, not in this one. Okay, do you understand?
Yeah, got it, sir. Yeah.
Cool. So you just look at a website like this, we just confirm. How do we confirm what they offer? You go to For Students, there should hopefully be a list of majors. And
Google it.
there you
And
go. And if you Google it, so look, then for some reason Georgia Tech says there's the college and then there's the schools. This just means the different departments, realistically. So there's going to be a mega bio department in the College of Science, and then this bio department, this is going to have probably like literally like 5 majors. Okay. And so let's see here. Is bioinformatics a part of this? It's not like usually bioinformatics is not a separate major. Just so you know, it would be offered usually as like a concentration within the bio department. Okay?
Okay.
Sorry, that was my complete answer. Usually there is no bioinformatics or computational bio major at the top unis. There's bio and then computational bio, which just fall under that umbrella.
Okay, got it, sir.
Cool.
Thank
Good.
you.
Really good question, though. I love that. Now,
Thanks.
let's see. Is there anything else? Please. Oh man, is it enough to do all 7 activities from Tanisha? Or is the combination any 3 enough? That's really interesting. Well, guys, your US application, and don't be scared, is made of 10 activities. That is what the US profile is. It is 10 activities. Okay. Now, I guess someone who's really good at math could tell me literally how many technical permutations and combinations there are. Technically, you could have 10 different research papers and that could be your whole profile. But usually, honestly, people do 2 summer schools. Okay. And that would probably be 1 pre-college, often online, or an Indian pre-college because it's just less expensive and that's a good thing. Usually 1 credit bearing. This is how I advise people. Okay. They would almost always do 2 internships. Why? Because they're easy and you can just arrange it through a friend's company. It's a great experience for your kid. So probably 1 after 10th, 1 after 10th, 1 after 11th. They would usually have 1 or 2 research projects. Okay. Ideally, at least 1 mentored project. Okay. So that's already 5 activities. And then they would usually have 1 good social service project. Okay. typically a kid would do probably 1 or 2 non-academic activities, okay? Which would be sports or music, violin and soccer done. And hopefully they're in maybe 1 or 2 school clubs. And that's it. That's literally 10 activities right there. Okay. So, now do the really motivated students, the really intense families, sometimes people do 3 summer schools. Sometimes people do 3 research papers. Okay. The only thing I think that would be a big mistake would be to do more than 2 internships, because that starts to look a bit manufactured. And if you do more than 2 social service projects. So the social service project thing, it's meant to show that you really care about one issue. So let's say you do a really good little project in health, and you do a really good little project in sustainability. The college is going to be like, which is it? Like, which do you care about? You know, are you interested in health, or are you interested in sustainability? So you pick one because that shows greater sincerity. So yeah, and honestly, I would say that school clubs, sports, things like that, that's free. That's offered at your school. You already pay for it. It's part of your school fees. And so just do that stuff. It's simple. It's actually simple. Now, and then academic enrichment. I would say the really motivated kids would probably do 10 to 20 such academic competitions total. Okay. And then honestly, you find out which one through pippins.com, actually. Now, let's see here. Ooh, okay, good. What kind of social impact should a child do if interested in a history major? Oh man, that's great. What a great question. Okay. Well, there are essentially, okay, basically, there's about 40 total things that a kid can do. Okay? There's about 40 total things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys an example of that. Okay? And then the goal, of course, is to map one of these 40 total things onto an academic subject. So this is an internal matrix that we use. So it's all about what we call the preacher categories. Now I'm giving you some good high-level stuff here, guys. Okay? Usually people pay my huge fee in order to get this insight. So PR, that's poverty relief. Okay? Environmental action, that's the EA. Okay? Community health, that's the CH piece. And equality and rights, this is the ER piece, preacher. It spells preacher. Any social service issue you can think of is going to fit into this. Okay, this one is really best for STEM applicants. Just that's a freebie. Okay, now, so what does it mean? What is poverty relief? Typically, it's a financial literacy, it's digital literacy, it's education reform. Okay, do a project, teach astrophysics in a school. That's cool. That's okay. That's great. That's poverty relief, It's anything that relates with skilling. It relates to housing and food, okay? Career guidance, all this stuff is good stuff. Environmental action, it relates to water, okay, to air pollution, okay, to solid waste. Solid waste is really difficult to do well because a lot of people are doing solid waste projects, recycling. You can't just recycle like 10 kgs of plastic. To stand out, you'd have to recycle like 10 tons of plastic these days. Okay. Now, agriculture is a really cool sector within environment. Disaster management, renewable energy systems, ecology, biodiversity. You could say environmental justice. You could say ocean health. Hell, you could even say environmental health. Environmental health is a very special category. Okay. Community health, women's health. If you're applying for bio or psychology, basically you have to do a community health social service project. And if you are applying for anything apart from those 2 majors, you should not do this. It does not boost your profile much. Okay. Now, women's health, children's health, preventative health. different kinds of breast cancer. This obviously goes kind of under women's health. Nutrition, that's health. Reproductive health, like about your, like menstruation and stuff. It's important. STI testing, that falls under reproductive health. That's very controversial. Works great. Mental health, body positivity, learning disabilities, people with disabilities. Okay. All this is community health. And then there's equality and rights. It's typically women's empowerment, but it can be period poverty, it can be violence prevention, gender-based violence, it could be LGBTQ plus support, things like that. Okay. Cultural promotion, child labor, anti-trafficking, that's against the human rights. Okay. So history and stuff works really well for equality and rights, just so you know. It can work well with anything, but typically, if I was counseling you, I'd be thinking, let's do something with equality and rights. Okay. Probably relating, if your child's a girl, relating to something with girls. So it could be like anti-violence for women. That would be amazing. Okay. If your child's a boy, you could do I would do probably something with like tribal groups. Okay. Now, then you think, well, how do I actually do that? You need an NGO. I'm tied up with about 100 NGOs across India. This is something we're continuously trying to expand. We can do any different demographic. You want to do a project with prisoners? I've got that. You want to do a project with tribal groups? I can do that. You want to do a project with people with disabilities? I can do that. Usually what people do, honestly, they come to me, they talk to me, they talk to my team. We figure out exactly what project they should do with what group matching their subject. Okay, so it's a whole big system, guys. I literally do this all day, every day. Now, love that question. Okay. Is there anything else? Would a game like golf be supported? Sorry, the previous question, what subject should you take in IBDP for medicine? Well, for medicine, as Chirag will tell you, don't apply for the US, first off. Okay, I hate to say, the US has about 4,000 unis and colleges, just so you know, but there's only about 160 that have med schools, and only about 40 of those 160s even allow international non-US passport holders, okay, to apply, okay? And those 40, they would usually take a batch size of probably about 15 to 20 international students. So you're talking about a population of about 500 to 800 students in America, who are training to become doctors in America who don't have a US passport. Okay. Now, in the US, it's about 25,000 people who graduate med school each year, just so you know. And so only about 5 to say 800 of that probably. So we're talking, what is that, that's 1/50th, okay, would be a non-American passport holder. Now, so do it in the UK, do it in Europe. I'm got a really good understanding of these European med schools these days because I've had to. You would take HL Bio, HL Chem, HL Math AI. Okay, that'd be fine. Physics is not commonly a requirement for medical unless you're talking about India. There's no program in the UK that gives a hoot about physics for medical. So HL Math, HL Bio, HL Chem. And golf, is golf good? Yeah. As in, if you mean by is golf supported, is it recognized by US unis? Very much so. Okay, so guys, US unis are sports mad. They'll give people seats just because they're good at their sport. Georgia Tech would do that. Harvard does that. There's about 50 sports that they love. Okay. Basketball, American football, soccer, whatever, running, swimming. There's a heap. Okay. Indian school children, just because of the way that the Indian high schools are set up, they can't be competitive in 48 out of those 50 sports. Okay. The number one Indian swimmer in high school, unfortunately, wouldn't have a chance to get recruited by Georgia Tech. But there's two exceptions, squash and golf. Okay. Indians do get placements through golf at the elite unis. The #1 Indian junior golfer is going to make everyone sit up and take notice. Okay. Stanford would be like interested in that person. And the #1 Indian squash player usually just goes to Harvard. Harvard loves squash. So good. Golf is an amazing sport to play. If you're really good, you can get recruited by coaches. You can get a scholarship even. There's a really interesting guy called Amit Luthra, who is an excellent golf coach, or is very tied up with Indian golf. I also advise on the recruiting stuff. I'm happy to have a session. Now, those are some great questions today. What is the prereqs for economics? Interesting. Which country? Okay, I'll just pretend you mean the US or the UK. So for economics, so Chirag is offering this test called the TMUA, and that is really commonly required for economics. And Chirag, what is the TMUA about?
Just math.
There you go. Yeah, it's really weird, guys. So economics, if you look at London School of Economics, BSc Economics, this would be a pretty damn good program. You look at the entry requirements, the UK unis always give the entry requirements. The American unis never give the entry requirements. Okay, they won't tell you exactly what to do. You have to guess. What do they want to see? IB diploma, HL math. Okay, that's HLAA math, by the way, not AI. Now, they don't even want to see economics. You don't even take economics, okay? That they'll teach you from scratch, all right? So, if you're applying for the US or the UK in something like economics, then having BC Calc would be incredibly good. But for the UK, I'm sure Chirag knows this, but it's important for everyone. For the UK, they only recognize 5s. You need 5 on 5 to get any value from an AP for the UK unis. For the US, they'll recognize 4s and 5s. So APs are better for the American thing. For the UK, it's like an all or nothing. Now,
So Nick, interest of time, I think we'll have to.
yeah.
I think it's 1 o'clock. So Nick, thanks. It's a great session again every year.
That was awesome. That was great.
Everyone, thanks for listening. I mean, Rajni has put down details on the chat. If you want to have a session with Nick, he's graciously agreed. So you can reach out to Rajni, and she can help you set it up. Right?
Absolutely.
This was wonderful again, Nick. I mean, every year we have a great session.
Good questions. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna, and thank you for Chirag and his team organizing this, guys. It's a surprising amount of work behind the scenes to do this, and it goes really well every year. And and so this was another good one. So yeah, thank everyone. What makes a cool webinar? People ask questions. That's it.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, and thanks, Nick. Have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. See you soon, Chirag.
Bye.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.